The greedy groom pissed me off, and I offered to delete their wedding photos. Hi, everyone. I own a company that provides contractors for weddings and events. Our main focus is photo and video coverage. We also have DJs, drone pilots, makeup artists, hairstylists, and so on. A couple of months ago, a bride contacted us through the live chat on our website. She said they were coming to South Africa in December and needed a wedding photographer and videographer. I sent her our packages, and she said her fiancé wanted to call me. I said no problem and gave her my number. A few hours passed. I had almost forgotten about them, and then my phone finally rang. The groom, with a very strong German accent, started showering me with compliments about how everyone was blown away by our amazing work and service. I considered every word of it empty flattery, but I'm also bad at saying no. In the end, he offered us about a third of the package price, suggested cutting the hours, not printing photos, and so on. He also added that he would tip us 500 Rand, just over $30, on the day of the event. I asked why we couldn't just include that in the quote, and he replied, "Gentleman's agreement." Somehow I agreed to this insane offer. If I drank, I'd say I clearly need to stop drinking at work. Important detail, I specifically emphasized that there would be no overtime. If my people stayed even 1 minute longer than agreed, I would bill for it. He said that was fine. They needed us for 2 hours on Friday and 3 hours on Saturday. Nothing too complicated, which is why I agreed. But to make this happen, I had to completely rework the shift schedule for that weekend to free up 2 qualified employees for their event. On Friday, I shot their event myself and brought along one of our videographers. They were insanely nice, especially the groom. Time dragged on pretty slowly because there wasn't much to shoot. Just a group of people sitting at a table. But whatever. After an hour and a half, the groom said we could leave. Great. On the second evening, I couldn't work myself. I had told them that from the start, so I sent another photographer, honestly, much more talented than me, and the same videographer as the night before. The shooting time was from 18:15 to 21:15, but I told them to stay until 21:45 to make up for the time we hadn't worked on the first evening. Here's how we operate. None of my employees have their own equipment. Everything belongs to me, so after every shift they have to return the gear to me. The wedding they were shooting was about a 25-minute drive from my house. The place where I was working was about an hour away. I was busy on another shoot until 22 Kas. I got home after 23 Ging and saw that they still hadn't returned. All the other teams started coming back shortly after me and handing in their gear, but these two were nowhere to be seen. That worried me because they were working the closest and should have finished earlier than everyone else. I tried calling them, but neither of them answered. Around midnight, I got in my car to go look for them. After about 10 minutes of driving, I saw them pass me in the opposite direction. I turned around and drove home. I asked, "What happened?" They explained that they stayed until 21:45 as instructed. But when they were about to start packing up, the bride sent the maid of honor to ask them to stay another hour. They clearly told her that they'd discuss it with me later and that I would add it to the invoice. On top of that, they were making my videographer do things that are only included in our most expensive package. More importantly, according to my staff, the couple behaved horribly at the second event. They yelled at my photographer and were generally as rude as possible. I have a very low tolerance for rude people. The next day, Sunday afternoon, I saw a missed call from the groom, followed by a voice message where he thanked me for the team, and then added that they were leaving the country in 7 days, so they'd appreciate it if I could finish their wedding photos and video by then. They also wanted to receive all the raw files on a hard drive. He didn't mention overtime at all. I stared at that message in complete disbelief, because our contract clearly states, photo delivery time 4 weeks, video delivery time 8 weeks. And his quote also clearly stated, no physical copies. The next morning, I replied that there was no way I could finish everything before January. I offered to give them the raw files before they left, but the hard drive would be added to the invoice along with the overtime charge. He replied that he'd like to call me to discuss our situation. I knew exactly where this was going and was already dreading the call. The call happened later that same day. This story is already way too long, so I'll skip most of the conversation and jump straight to the parts that made my blood boil. Groom. So you're saying you can't finish everything before we leave? Me. Unfortunately, no. Groom. Oh, that's disappointing. All the guests keep asking how long they'll have to wait for the photos, but we understand. Me. Great. I'm glad you understand. I can give you the raw files if you want, but you'll need to pay for the external drive. I have them in stock. Groom. I don't want to pay for a hard drive. Can't you just send me all the raw files via WeTransfer or some cloud service? Me. No, I can't. Groom. Why not? Me. Because it's over 100 GB of data and we're in South Africa. With our internet speeds, that would take about 2 years. Groom. Do you even think we need the raw files? Me. No, I don't. Groom. Okay. Long, awkward pause. Groom. I don't understand where this overtime charge is coming from. You asked my people to stay longer. Me. No. They stayed 10 minutes longer and you still owed us 30 minutes from the previous evening. Groom. I accounted for those 30 minutes, and after that they still worked another full hour. Groom. That's not true. I have timestamps on the photos, the time of the first and last shot. Want me to send them to you? Me. No, I don't want them. Groom. Great. Groom. And we hired you, but we got a different photographer. Me. You hired the company, not me personally. And you always knew I wouldn't be there on Saturday. Groom. But we weren't happy with the person you sent. Me. Really? And why is that? Groom. I just don't think we should have to pay extra for them. Me. Unfortunately, that's exactly what we agreed on. Groom. But can you offer me a better price for the overtime? Me. I'm already offering you a discounted overtime rate. Groom. Oh, that's the best you can do? Me. Considering the tip we never received, this is already basically nothing. Groom. What tip? Our gentleman's agreement. Me. I don't remember what you're talking about. Groom. Wow, surprise of the century. Groom. So when will we get the photos? Me. In January. But first you need to pay the remaining balance, including the overtime. Groom. Fine, you send us everything and then we'll pay. Me. No. The contract you signed clearly states that you won't receive anything until all invoices are paid. That's our policy. Groom. Yeah, but then we don't know if you'll even send the photos. Me. I thought a lot of people told you how great our service is. Groom. I don't like this. You send us everything, and then we decide if we want to pay. Me. That's not going to happen. Groom. But you can't just expect me to trust you like that. Me. You're right. We can't trust each other. So here's the simplest solution. I refund your deposit, delete your wedding, and we're done with each other because I'm sick of this. Groom. I feel like you're mad at me. Me. No, but you're wasting my time, and I'm done doing you favors. The only difference between you and our other clients is that they all paid full price. Groom. Okay, fine. Me. I'll wait until the money hits my account, and then I'll start the editing process. Groom. And you can't offer me a better price for overtime? Me. Merry Christmas. And I hung up. The next morning, the bride messaged me saying they had just paid the remaining balance and now wanted their photos because January was too long to wait. January was 8 days away. 3 days passed, and the money still hadn't shown up in my account. Update. Finally, I have an update to this story. Those bleep actually did pay in the end. I was as surprised as you are. However, it turned out that before hiring us, they hadn't even looked at our portfolio and had no idea what our editing style was. I finished their entire album, sent a few previews, and all I got back was, "Brighter, we want brighter." I agreed and made all the images brighter. That was not a quick job. I sent the brighter versions, and again got, "We want even brighter." If I had gone any further, the photos would have been completely blown out. Then they sent me some horribly edited photos from their previous wedding. Oh yeah, did I mention this was their second one? And said they wanted everything to look exactly like that. There was just one problem. Their photos were taken during the day on a beach with harsh sunlight and clear skies, and ours were taken closer to evening in cloudy weather. I tried to explain that these photos would never look the same. They accused me of lying, claimed the weather was the same, and sent me a photo of their ceremony area, completely empty and obviously taken hours before my team even arrived. In the end, I edited part of the photos in 4 different styles, 2 of which I'll admit were absolutely disgusting. But hey, they wanted their photos to look like those daytime beach shots. After that, they disappeared for about 10 days before finally choosing one of the options. And if you think that was the end of it, you clearly haven't been paying attention. Now they're complaining that they don't like their own damn facial expressions during the ceremony and somehow expect me to fix that, saying they'll accept photos where they look stupid and that fixing it is my responsibility. I haven't replied to that absurd request yet. My plan is to re-edit everything next week in the style they chose, without changing their facial expressions at all, because what the hell, and then block them everywhere. I'd rather survive a bad Facebook review than one more conversation with these assholes.